We're going to learn the ins and outs of syndication, as well as when to know if somebody has done it correctly and done us a favor, or has stolen our content and is therefore stealing our traffic. And we just talked about SEO and links, so we're going to go into more about that with Amber and Eric. All right. All right, Amber, go ahead.
Okay, so I'll just go ahead and introduce myself a little bit more. So as you can see on the screen there, my name is Amber Bracegirdle. My husband is British. That's where that lovely last name comes from. And I have been blogging since 2008. As Karen said, my blog is Bluebonnets and Brownies, which doesn't get a bunch of work done on it lately because I am concentrating full-time on Food Fanatic. Foodfanatic.com sort of came to be. Eric and I met at a random food conference, and I was my typical outspoken self. And he said, hey, I think you're great. Can you talk to me more about creating a food site? Because they have... Eric and his two other partners have a bunch of other sites, and they really wanted to get into the food space. And so together we created Food Fanatic, where we basically bring together all of our favorite food bloggers and ask them to write about one specific subject that they're super passionate about. So we get people who blog about everything under the sun on their blog. On Food Fanatic, they'll blog about only breakfast or only cookies or chocolate. It's actually really cool, and some people will take a niche that they write about on their own blog, say for example vegetarian stuff, and write about that for us, and then others who are mainly dessert bloggers will come over to us and write savory stuff. So it's kind of a really cool way for them to branch out a bit with their own brand. And we really try and concentrate on giving back to our contributors in order to help build them up. So when you come to Food Fanatic, you'll see their headshots across the top of the screen, and we try and make sure that you know exactly where else they blog and who they are online in addition to writing for Food Fanatic. And then as part of building Food Fanatic, we've only been around, we started January 28th of 2013, so a little over a year and a half. Our site has been around, and we have grown exponentially, which I put entirely down to two things: our great contributors with their original content, and Eric's knowledge of SEO and syndication, which is why we're here to talk to you today about that. So take it away, Eric.
All right. Yeah, so as Karen said before, I come from an SEO background. I actually had a high school internship over 16 years ago doing SEO for an online mortgage company. Since then, I kind of parlayed that into my company Mediavine, which in addition to Food Fanatic, we own and operate the Hollywood Gossip, TV Fanatic, and Movie Fanatic. Combined, our sites reach over 10 million unique visitors a month. And I have a pretty weirdly controversial opinion in the SEO community. I ignore the community. I also ignore all the controversy surrounded every time Google announces a new named update like Panda 4.0. So I guess the question is why you should listen to a man that ignores all SEO updates. And that's because I follow the word of Google. And that's the main source of our traffic and most of the internet's traffic. So if you follow Google's suggestions and write good original content, you're going to succeed. And if you need proof, like, we're able to make a living off of it. So please stop listening to SEOs that speculate and obsess over algorithm changes, because if they were really successful and knew what they were doing, they would be generating actual traffic off it themselves instead of writing these sensational articles with controversial headlines. So today, we're here to talk to you about syndication. It's near and dear to many bloggers' hearts, mostly because it involves the copying of their content that they work so hard on. So what we're going to define syndication is really any third party that copies any of your content, either part of it or the entire article. And historically, this has been kind of looked at as a negative thing. They look at it as people stealing their content, and it's often blamed for drops in traffic. Today, our goal is to hopefully convince you of the complete opposite. If you embrace syndication like we have and use it properly, you can actually increase your traffic. So at the heart of any SEO syndication talk, we're going to have to talk about duplicate content. It's the #1 reason incorrectly stated by SEOs as why syndication is hurting rankings. So let's go to my favorite SEO authority, Google, and see what they think about duplicate content. Matt Cutts, who's the head of Google's web spam team, has a great video on duplicate content. It's 2 to 3 minutes. I would encourage everyone to watch it after this. But in it, he basically says that 25 to 30% of the web's content is duplicate. And if they were to make the assumption that every time there's duplicate content, it's spam, they'd pretty much destroy Google search results. So their solution, they try to group together duplicate content via a filter and return the best result to the user. They rarely, if ever, impose a penalty for duplicate content.